Hi everyone! So it's day 7 of our Cricut Christmas crafting challenge, and today we are making these cute little magical reindeer food pouches. For this project we're going to use our Cricut cutting machine, a heat press, our standard grip cutting mat, a heat mat, some iron-on vinyl. I'm using the everyday iron-on in red, but you can use whatever color you want. I've got some butcher paper, I've got a measuring tape, got a blank piece of paper that I'm going to fold up and insert into my little blanks, and then I'm using these cotton canvas drawstring bags. The first thing I want to do is just to measure the little bag and to figure out the size of our actual design. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pull the drawstrings, and that's going to give us a better idea of where the actual design needs to go. So if we then take our tape measure, so I would say if we make our design about 2 by 2, that should be fine. When you open Design Space, click on the New Project tab at the top. And what we're going to do then is we're going to make our little design from scratch. So if you click on Shapes, I'm going to click on the circle, and then just go ahead, right click on that circle and say Duplicate. So I'm just going to move it to the center a little bit. So click on the first circle and then just make the width 4, and then the second circle, to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to change the color, and I'm going to then change the size of that one to 3.8. There we go. So now if you move the smaller circle on top of the other one, and you highlight both of them, go to the top and say Align and say Center. That will just put both circles right on top of each other. What we want to do now is, while both of those elements are highlighted, go and click on the Slice button. What's going to happen is basically going to slice the size of the smaller circle out from the bigger one. So you've got these 2 circles left over, you can just go and delete them. And that's basically our outline of our design. So let's go and add an image. So I'm going to type in my search bar reindeer. And then I'm going to click on the free button on the side, and this is the one that I'm going to use. So click on that and say Add to Canvas. You can now just go ahead and resize it a little bit. Just go to the top and change the width to 1.4, and then we can move it into our circle, highlight both components, go up to Align and click Center. There we go. So the next thing we want to do is add some text. So I'm going to click on my text box and then go up to Font, click on the down arrow, and the font that I'm going to use is a free font. So I'm going to go into Filters and say Free, and it is called High Tide. And there we go. So I need 2 text boxes, so I'm going to just change the font size to 35 before I'm going to right click on it and duplicate it. So we can now change our text. So if you double click on the first text box, and I'm going to just type in magical, and in the second one double click and say reindeer food. There we go. So if you move it in there, you can click on the word and we're going to curve it. So go up to the curve at the top and just play around a little bit with it. Maybe like that. Until it fits into your actual circle. There we go. And this one is going to go the other way. Let's see. Not so far. Okay, so let's just double check. If we go then and we say we highlight all the components, go Align, center horizontally. That's going to make sure that all our components are right in the center of our circle, so we can see the word over here is touching, so if you click on that and just go and change your curve a little bit. There we go. There we go. There's our design. So what we can do now is highlight all the components, change the color to one single color, and say attach. So at the moment the width and the height of my actual design is 4 by 4 inches. And if you remember correctly, when we measured our blank, we said that our design shouldn't be more than 2 inches high and wide. So we can just, while this is highlighted, go up to the top and change the width to 2 inches, and that's automatically going to change the height as well. We can now go ahead and click on Make It. So I'm going to add my iron-on vinyl to my mat. I'm using a 12 by 12 inch mat. I can say confirm. Check my settings on the left hand side. It's a basic cut on mat. It's a 12 by 12 inch mat, and because we're using iron-on vinyl, I'm going to mirror my image. Go ahead and say continue. To set my base material, I'm going to say browse all materials, and all categories go down to iron-on. And I'm using the everyday iron-on, so I can click on that and say done. It reminds you again to make sure that your image is mirrored. So if you haven't done that, you can click on the edit button on the left hand side and do it that way. Then I'm leaving my pressure as default. I'm using a fine point blade, and I can now go ahead and add my vinyl to my mat and insert my mat into my machine. So when you add your vinyl to your mat, just remember to put the shiny side down. Once your cut has been completed, remove your mat from your machine and weed your design. I'm then going to just take a piece of A4 copy paper and fold it a couple of times in order for it to fit into my little bag. Once we insert this into our bag, it's just going to create an even surface for our design to adhere to. So I've sent my settings to my heat press. And basically the first thing we need to do is heat up our blank for 5 seconds at 340 degrees. Once that's been done, we can go ahead and place our design on top of our blank. And as I mentioned before, just keep in mind that you're going to pull these strings in, so I'm going to place this relatively close to the bottom. Place it over there. And then I'm going to just put some butcher paper on top before pressing the actual design for 30 seconds at 340 degrees. Just apply light pressure. I'm going to now remove the piece of paper, flip it around. There's a little bit of the transfer sheet showing on that side, so I'm going to add my butcher paper again just to make sure that that doesn't melt onto my actual heat press. I'm now going to heat it again for 15 seconds at 340 degrees. There you go. So this is the Cricut brand iron-on vinyl, and the instruction says that we need to remove the transfer sheet once it is cool to touch. So I'm going to just leave it a little bit until we can do that. Now that our transfer sheet is cool to touch, we can go ahead and remove it. And there you go. Cute little magical reindeer food pouch. Part of day 7 of our Cricut Christmas crafting challenge. See you again tomorrow.